Kahalayim La Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Waha Raha Kodash. All praises and glory go to you, Lord. Double honors and respect go to our apostles, our elders, and our teachers, the men of Great Millstone. To you I say Shalom. It's your brother Amraya. And I'm going to call this one story time. Okay? I'm putting a snippet of a story that this man is telling, this Jake, about this Edomite, self-proclaimed white man that rules in the world today. And sit back and listen to what he has to say. But before we do, we always filter through the scriptures. So I will say this about this story before it begins. This is Job chapter 20 and verse 4 is where I begin. It says, Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Okay? And that is 100% true. The joy of the hypocrite is only going to last a moment, a season in time. Okay? Let's go ahead and check out the story, and I'll be back with more scriptures afterwards. Shalom.
Quick story that has me literally shaking right now. So for context, I drive trucks and I stop at this Denny's to grab a coffee because I'm addicted to caffeine. I went in there to get my coffee to go, and then I walked to the bathroom. But as I'm walking to the bathroom, it's this old guy sitting to the left with about 12 people that's celebrating his 89th birthday. Sat down, ordered some food, so now I'm sitting like across from the guy that's celebrating his birthday. Time goes by, I'm down there at the end of my meal, and everybody that basically came to celebrate with him had left. So now it's just him and his wife. So as I get up to go wash my hands, I see him and I give him a smile. I'm like, happy birthday, young man, 89. That's a lot of memory to have.
Now, real quick, before we get all the way into this story, I wanted to get another scripture real quick. This is Job chapter 20, and I'll go down to verse 11 for this one. And remember this scripture as he tells this story. Job 20 and 11. His bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. His bones, the nation of Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, okay? His bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. Let's continue on with the story.
And he said, well, thank you, young man. And he smiled and he kind of just stared at me, and I just walked back there and washed my fucking hands. So I come back and his wife is gone. She's talking to some other lady that goes to the same church they do. And he sees me, he says, come here, come here, come here. And I said, yes. And he said, there are way too many things that I wish I could forget. And I said, yeah, man, you make it to damn near 100 years old. I'm pretty sure you got a handful of regrets. And he looked at me with the most serious look ever and said, you have no idea. Well, now I'm curious. Do tell. He said, you know, I used to be a firefighter through the 60s and 70s. I said, that's what's up. That's a very commendable job. And he said, yeah, it should be. He said the 60s and 70s was a different time in every way possible. You know that, right? And I'm just like, yeah, no shit. He said, back in those times, I was a way different man, and who knew that we'd get to the point where we are in society today, and I'd be feeling the way I'm feeling about the decisions that I made back in those times. So I'm like, man, if you won't fucking tell me, bro. So right before he took a very long pause, he looked at me and said, back in those times, it was very common for firefighters that looked like me to leave people that looked like you and burning houses and buildings and horrible situations just to say they couldn't get to us. Times it was very common for firefighters that looked like me to leave people that looked like you and burning houses and buildings and horrible situations just to say they couldn't get to us. He said more times than he'd like to admit, he would hear screaming black people and children in burning buildings and houses and apartments and stores and cars, and he would literally just pretend he didn't hear. He said more times than he'd like to admit, he would hear screaming black people and children in burning buildings and houses and apartments and stores and cars, and he would literally just pretend he didn't hear it. He said his last time doing it was when he made eye contact with the baby that he deliberately went into a building to save and deliberately didn't. And he said that was the last time he did it, and he quit that year. He said his last time doing it was when he made eye contact with the baby that he deliberately went into a building to save and deliberately didn't. And he said that was the last time he did it, and he quit that year. And I guess that shit just shocked me so much because when it came to firefighters, I never thought of them like that. Like when it came to like police officers, lawyers, and judges, and everybody else, we knew they didn't give a fuck. Especially police officers, we knew they didn't give a fuck about us. But I don't know why that didn't click to me that no, it was everybody that hated us. Everybody. Everybody had a hand in deliberately making our lives worse.
Okay. And yeah, it's pretty much everybody. Okay. Now, I'm going to take a detour out of Job 20. And we're going to go to Psalms chapter 83. And I'll begin at verse 3. It says, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people." And if you're not knowing for context, the Lord's people are the nation of Israel, the Israelites in the Holy Scriptures, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and North American Indians. Okay? And by they, in this context, is speaking of the rest of the world, beginning with the nation of Esau, Edom, namely. Okay? But continuing on. Actually, I'll begin at verse 2. "For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people," you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and North American Indians, "and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted with one consent that they are confederate against you. The tabernacles of Edom," okay, the houses of Edom, the houses of the Ishmaelites, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal, and Ammon, and Amalek. And Amalek is chief of the nation of Esau, Edom, who you know in the world today as the Jewish community or Israelis, whatever they identify as. Okay. Verse 7, "Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, and Tyre are Hamites." So you're pretty much dealing with the Africans, the Arabs, the self-proclaimed white man, all these different nations, China, Japan, etc., etc. They're all in agreement to keep you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and North American Indians at bay on the bottom. Okay? Now, let's finish out what he was saying.
But when I calmed down from being mad enough to want to pull the plug on his ass, I thought about it. And I was like, of course they did this. Of course they did this shit.
Of course they did it, okay? Of course they hate you with a perpetual hatred. Of course they decided to leave you in these buildings consumed with fire to go to your fiery death because they absolutely cannot stand the nation of Israel, okay? And by the nation of Israel, again, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and North American Indians. Now, we have been scattered into the four winds of the world, into every nation under man, all right? So the Israelites can look like the other nations. You are not hating against. But this gives you a clear indication that you have enemies, okay? Now, why do you have enemies? I'll tell you why. Because you are the chosen seed of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Now, I'm going to end out here because I don't want this video being too long. This is Ezekiel chapter 35. I'll begin in verse 2. And before I begin, let me just say this. The nation of Esau, Edom has hell to pay, okay? You should have known that the joy of the hypocrite was but for a moment, okay? You painted yourselves up as the people of light, as the people of the book, and you have done nothing but break the laws, statutes, and commandments that were given to us by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. You have done nothing but been perverse and destroying the earth. And now your time is about up because of the sin. Your bones are full of the sin of your youth. Because it is full, it is now time to pay the piper. And by the piper, I mean Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Now, let's see what Yahweh has in store for the nation of Esau, Edom. This is Ezekiel 35 and 2. "Son of man, set your face against Mount Seir. And Mount Seir are the nation of Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man that rules in the world today. Son of man, set your face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith Yahweh power, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee. I will stretch out mine hand against you, and I will make you most desolate. He is about to destroy everything that you have built. Esau, Edom. Okay. Verse 4, I will lay your cities waste, and you shall be desolate, and you shall know that I am the Lord. Right. He's going to judge this place by ICBM nuclear warfare. By this place, I mean America, Babylon the Great, chief city of Esau, Edom, and its affiliates. He's going to bring down that which you have built and make your cities desolate. Why, Lord? Verse 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. No, you were just a little angry, right? No. Verse 5 again, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity. Okay? While we were in slavery, while we were under your thumbnails in these countries, subservient to your laws, your statutes and commandments, you literally shed our blood. And some were guilty, yes. Not every Jake is innocent, but a lot of Jakes that got put to death were, in fact, innocent of the crimes they were accused of. You shed their blood anyway. Verse 5, because you have had a perpetual hatred and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity. And the modern day sword is the gun, by the way. In the time that their iniquity had an end, therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, I will prepare you unto blood, and blood shall pursue you. Since you have not hated blood, even blood shall pursue you. Why is the Lord threatening the nation of Esau, Edom, Mount Seir? I'll tell you why. Because they have had a perpetual, disgusting hatred for the nation of Israel for hundreds of years now. And they have done every nasty, vile thing that they possibly could have done, including leaving babies in a fire to burn to their death, because they were not of the nation of Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. Do you understand the hypocrisy of these people? Verse 7, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains. Quick detour. Mountains can be likened unto governments. Okay? So you could say, I will fill his governments with slain men. In your hills and in your valleys and in all your rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. Right? Because Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai is going to take up the cause of the nation of Israel and put you MFers to cancellation, deleted, gone. Okay? Verse 9. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. That's a promise you can bank on. You can bet on that promise that Yahweh is going to make good on these words in these last days. Okay? Verse 10. Because thou hast said these two nations, the northern and southern kingdoms of Israel, okay, which are many tribes, but the northern and southern kingdoms are these two nations, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and North American Indians. By prophesying against other countries, by being a thorn in the side of these heathens, long before you understood who you were, your forefathers was bringing the pain to these heathens, okay? And this is what it says, verse 10 again. Because thou hast said these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas that Yahweh was there, okay? You never should have done that, okay? And now because of that decision making, you have hell to pay. Now we started out in Job chapter 20, and we're going to end in Job chapter 20. And Salakia, if this is taking too long, I didn't want this to be too long. Now I'm going to skip down. Verse 18, it says, that which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. And this is the Lord talking to the nation of Esau, Edom, okay, and its affiliates. Verse 19, because he have oppressed and have forsaken the poor, the nation of Israel. Verse 19, because he have oppressed and have forsaken the poor, because he have violently taken away an house which he builded not, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly, he shall not save of that which he desired. Skipping down again. Verse 22, in the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Right, because the Lord is about to go to war with the nation of Esau, Edom over the treatment of the nation of Israel. Okay, and he's going to bring out all his armies. And trust me, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai is in control of all the armies of the world, all the nuclear weapons of the world, anything that has to do with the war that is coming, World War III, Yahweh is in control of, because he truly is a man of war. Verse 23, and we'll end out here. It says, when he is about to fill his belly, and this is speaking of a lot of different prophecies that are coming to pass, such as the Revelations chapter 13, verse 16, when he is about to put his MOT to the B, which is coming in the form of the C-hip. Read what I'm saying, the C-hip that will be implanted under the skin of the hand or in the forehead, and that no man might buy or sell unless he has that mark. When he is about to fill his belly, when the devil is about to come down upon the people with great wrath, knowing that his time is short, and he starts throwing them into these FEMA camps and these concentration camps and putting them to death. Okay, when he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. No more talk. The Lord is about to judge the nation of Esau, Edom, because his bones are full of the sin of his youth. Because he has shed a whole lot of blood on the nation of Israel. He has cut them short, their lives short, their existence is short, their quality of life short. He will pay. And the Lord, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, has promised this. So be patient and just wait for the Lord to do his work, okay? Now, I want to say, call halal Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai for this message. But all of you out there who should happen to come across it, stay out of all of the protests, all of the rioting and looting that is to come in the near future, as the Lord continues to strategically take out this man's kingdom. And by this man, I mean the nation of Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. Shalom.